Part 7, Red Menace, Reloaded. The battle was over, or so they thought. The ancient monastery, now more of a smoking pile of goblin goo and shattered pews, stank of blood and burning moss. The baby, tucked safely into Benjamin's arm like a weird leathery football, had just gurgled its first tiny magical spit bubble. Everyone was still processing how Learog had narrowly avoided death by inhaling the nut gas trap from a peanut-laced treasure chest. "It smells like roasted regret in here," Learog coughed, eyes watering. "I saw the god of nuts." "You almost became a nut yourself," muttered Lunnick, patting him on the back with a shovel. And then came Connie. The hobgoblin stood in the centre of the room, chest heaving, surrounded by at least 6 goblin corpses. His fists were slick with blood and what might have been teeth. His 10-kilogram dumbbell, lovingly named Father, dripped like a tomato covered in ketchup. "No one burns a village but me," he roared, frothing slightly at the mouth. "You okay, buddy?" Learog asked. Connie did not reply. Instead, he lifted a goblin over his head like a barbell and suplexed it into another goblin skeleton. Then he performed 3 crunches, punched the ceiling, and screamed into the heavens. It was bloody. It was terrifying. "Never let him skip protein day again," Benjamin muttered, rocking the baby. But then, a sound. Thunk, thunk, thunk. "Now what?" groaned Lunnick, preparing to dive behind another emotionally supportive boulder. The ceiling above rumbled, and from the mist emerged a helicopter. Not just any helicopter. This was the kind of flying machine that said, "We brought our own war." From its underbelly dropped 2 hulking mechanical figures, 8 feet tall, red-plated, humming with old hate and older batteries. On their shoulders, hammer and sickle insignias. On their chests, the faded white letters, CCCP. One of them spoke. "Identify non-communist life forms. Engage." "Oh, hell no," Benjamin whispered. "Grandpa fought these, Cold War bots. I thought we dismantled them back with VHS tapes." The first laser bolt nearly took Learog's beard off. The party scattered like dwarves during a fire drill. Danitz, still clutching his great axe, lunged forward to protect the others, and a robot raised its hammer fist to strike him down. Then a chime, a crackle, a blast of frost. A shimmering bolt of blue-white magic soared through the air and slammed into the robot's chest, freezing its upper half solid. The strike came from behind them, from the basket. Benjamin turned. The baby, his baby, was awake, one pudgy hand extended, glowing faintly blue. Frost wisped from its little fingers as its eyes narrowed with unnatural focus. Benjamin blinked. "Okay, we're keeping that one swaddled tighter from now on." Danitz, spared by mere inches, gave a shaky grunt of thanks. "Remind me to buy the kid a bottle of whiskey when he's of age." Benjamin ducked behind a broken statue, heart racing. The baby cooed innocently. "Not now, baby," he muttered. "Daddy needs to win the Cold War again." Clink. From the wreckage nearby rolled a familiar shape. 2 handguns, sleek and deadly. His pistols, the ones he thought he'd lost in the firefight that brought him here. Benjamin scooped them up with the smooth grace of a man who's ended at least 3 drug cartels. "Welcome to capitalism, comrades," he yelled, firing both guns with explosive precision. Connie launched himself at the robots, slamming his dumbbell into one's kneecap and yelling, "For gains!" Learog cartwheeled beneath a robot, kicking it somewhere very unholy, while shouting, "How's that for balance?" Connie climbed the other like a ladder and started jabbing pressure points, whispering things about urine vision. Lunnick stayed by a wall, muttering, "This isn't mining. I didn't sign up for this." But he swung his weapon right into the arm and leg of one of the robots, sending shockwaves. Sparks flew. Metal shrieked. The red bots crumpled like poorly made IKEA furniture. Benjamin stood panting, the baby nestled against his shoulder. "Thanks, Grandpa," he murmured, holstering his pistols with flair. And then the battlefield had gone suspiciously quiet. Too quiet. One of the robots lay sparking like an angry toaster. The red CCCP logo flickered on its chest. Then it let out a cheerful, "Do svidania." Everyone looked at Benjamin. "That means goodbye," he muttered, just before the robot exploded. K-boom. The floor buckled, and a plume of smoke launched Benjamin into Connie's protein-packed arms like a flying ragdoll. A fireball scorched Learog's eyebrows. Lunnick ducked instinctively behind a rock and shouted in his finest Arthurian panic, "Verily, the floor doth crumble like a stale biscuit." It did. With a groan like a grumpy god waking up too early, the entire floor collapsed. They plummeted. Benjamin, holding the changeling baby like it was a football full of live grenades, yelled something unprintable. The baby blinked, and just as a chunk of red-hot robot shrapnel aimed straight for Danitz's kidney scar, zap! A tiny frostbolt fired from the baby's fingertip, freezing the shrapnel mid-air and redirecting it with pinpoint precision into a chunk of wall. Danitz gave a grunt of approval. Benjamin gave the baby a look. "You're a weird little weapon," he whispered. The baby burped. A cloud of glitter formed the shape of a duck which promptly flew into Connie's face. Then splash! They landed in freezing black water. Icebergs bobbed like sad potatoes. The current dragged them toward a terrifying tunnel with a glowing sign that definitely said, "Court of Hell, no lifeguard on duty." Connie flailed. "I hate cold cardio." Lirog choked on a mouthful of river water. "This is worse than peanut gas." Danitz yelled, "Save the baby." Benjamin shouted, "I am!" And Lunnick, spinning in a slow circle like a dwarven drain plug, muttered, "This was not covered in the Union Mining Manual." They drifted, soaked, frozen and utterly baffled toward whatever nightmare awaited next. Things are about to get even hotter and colder. It's hell. It's complicated.